Hello everybody. In my recent video I show you guys my radiator hose pliers in action, so to speak. I was working on the Chrysler 300M, removing some parts off of it, and you guys seen me using these pliers to remove the radiator hose, and everybody knows those can be really tough to remove sometimes. And for the longest time I was trying to make this tool, it just didn't really work out for me. I had different designs and nothing really worked that well until I finally came up with a good solution, and now I have three of them, and this is my favorite one, and you can see how long it is. These are some pliers. I found them on a yard sale. I don't even know what they're used for, and they're like a 12, like a foot long or so, and so they work great. Honestly, I really don't know what they used for, but anyhow, I'll show you guys how to make one of these. I'm not sure how. Again, they're not pretty, but they're very functional. They work great. Now, along with these, I have two more. These a little shorter, and again, they work perfect. Now, for me, the most challenging part of making these is actually, you can see you have two ends, but they have to meet perfectly, and that was the hardest thing to do. When you put these two pieces together, try to weld them up, one goes one way, one go another, and they never really meet nicely, but you can see these are actually perfectly matching on both sides. And there's a little trick to it. It's nothing, it's a very simple solution to take care of that part. And so anyhow, I have a cobalt pliers. We use these, and these are pretty cheap. I mean, you can get like a kit of three of them, I guess, for like 20 bucks, different size. And I'm using actually the longest one, and this one is a I don't know, like a foot long, a little bit, yeah, around a foot long. Now, of course, to make this, you gotta have some tools. You have to be able to cut some metal pieces. You gotta get a welder. But other than that, that's pretty much what we're going to need. Now, what I'm using is this 2-inch pipe, metal pipe. Why? This is what happened to be in a garage from some other project, and it worked perfect. It really works great. The 2-inch works great. And so first step is to cut one piece like this, like a inch wide, and the next step is to actually take this, put it here, and then you're going to cut one side of it. And that is the way to what I have done it, so that I can actually weld the two pieces together so they match. So just cut one end of it. I'm going to take my grinder. I don't have a shield on it. I'm sorry, I lost it. Actually, I never had one. This is from the pawn shop. I never had a shield on, but that'll be alright for this. So I'm just going to cut this part here. Alright, that's it. That's what you're gonna do at this point. The next step is to take your pliers, and you're gonna open them up to accommodate the size of your pipe. Like so, something like this. And that should do it, I believe. But of course, you want to have it. You don't want to open it all the way. If you open it all the way, then you really can't squeeze your hose. You want to get something like this, just to be able to kind of get your something like this, and that should work. And now I'm gonna take a marker, and I'm gonna mark this around. You got a little smaller. Let's see this. Yeah, that'll work. So basically, you wanna at this point you wanna mark your pliers. You're gonna notch it a little bit, but you You want just to have some meat that you can actually weld your round piece to it. Now to cut this doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because you're going to weld it. You can weld it out or fill up the gaps if you have some. This is maybe the next step. So now I'm just going to notch it a little bit and cut these ends, and it'll go. Next step. Now I'm going to put this one in. And most likely this plastic handle, it's going to melt, but it doesn't matter. This one here. Turn it around. So I'm doing right now, I'm just notching this as close as I can, and then I'm just going to grind it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to, like when you start welding, you can fill all these gaps if you have any. Grinding my pliers down. Again, just use whatever you got. I don't know, grinder, file, whatever. And as you can see, it's not perfect, but it's close enough. This will work just fine. You don't have to sweat to make it, because all these gaps I'm going to fill it up in my welder. Now, here's the tricky part comes into place. You only want to cut this end, one end of this pipe, okay? And then you're going to actually cut it, part that you cut, you want to actually face it toward the pliers, okay? So what we're going to do now, we're going to weld everything, and then we're going to cut this other end, and now we're going to have a perfect match on the pliers, okay? Hope this makes sense. That is the only way that I could. Now, if you cut this end, it's going to be really tricky. You know, if you cut it and then you have two loose pieces, it's just. I guess it can be done, but this way it's so much easier. It's going to be lined up for you from the get-go. And I don't know. So right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in and weld it. It takes a little time, but it is it's a good tool. It really is. I mean, this works great. And as far as I know, nobody makes them. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this. This will work just fine. Squeeze it like that. Now it's time to kind of line up. Everything looks good. I mean, it's not really. This will be fine. All right. Got my welder. See guys, yeah. So I just put my pliers with a pipe in it, squeezed it, and that's it. And I'll get my ground. Good. All right, so that's going to stay. And alright, so all looks pretty decent, and I'm just going to finish it now. Looks pretty decent. I'm not the best welder, but for me, for what I need to do, okay. Repeat this one. There's a little gap. I was trying to fill it up. Side looks pretty good. Good. There you go. Look, see, I welded all the way around. You don't really need to. It's just kind of overkill anyway, but yeah, that's, you got an idea what you need to do. Alright, and then now it's time to actually cut this end. It's pretty hot, we need to let it cool down, but once we cut this end, it should match pretty evenly with the pliers. Right there. So now we're going to cut this end and open up and it meet perfectly. And that's what you want. And now you can, what I'm going to do actually, what I did on the other ones, I'm going to actually cut it a little bit more because this is too much of the, so I'm going to trim it maybe like 1/4 of an inch on each side. And, but yeah, I mean this, I found this to be kind of the best, easiest way to weld it together, and works pretty good. I did trim the each end, and at this point it's entirely up to you how fancy you want to be, how much you want to grind all this. Of course you want to make sure there's no burrs inside the pliers so you don't damage your hose. Demonstration, take the hose, pliers, squeeze it and twist it, and it's pretty solid actually. It will not slip off your hose. And now you can be fancy. You know, this is just a design that works for me, and I'm just gonna grind this a little bit, and that's it. Nothing really to it, but they really work well. And there it is, final product. As I said, it's up to you guys how much time you want to spend grinding all this, and but the main thing is, you know, you want to make sure that nothing is catching here, inside is nice and smooth, and don't got any burrs to damage your hose. And that's, you know, kind of make it a little bit round here. And I did actually said I did kind of cut it a little bit, so it's no longer completely, you know, 100% circle. It has this gap, which is it's going to help you to squeeze the hose. And yeah, and just take the hose, put it in there, and then really get your hose good, and you can remove it much easier. That's nothing to it. And alright guys, I hope some of you are gonna make this little gadget. I really like them. They are just awesome, absolutely awesome. Now you know the process, and I was a little bit too hot here with my welder on this edge. Doesn't really make this one do anything to it. This edge here as well, it was a little too hot, but for the most part, you know, looks okay. It's not pretty, but it works. That's what's matter. And okay guys, that's it, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.